Let me tell you something that sounds crazy. AI writes the majority of my code now, Cursor, Claude Code, whatever. I use all of them, and my output has gone up dramatically. But here's what nobody tells you. The moment I started shipping faster, I also started reviewing harder. Because AI will absolutely write you beautiful, confident, completely broken code, and it won't apologize for that. This video is about that discipline behind moving fast with AI, and not how to use the tools. I'm sure you already know how. It's about how to use them without wrecking everything you build. So what actually is vibe coding? Andrei Karpathy coined the term, and most people, took it completely the wrong way. It doesn't mean you stop thinking. It means you shift what you're thinking about. Instead of writing every line, you're directing. You're making architectural decisions, reviewing outputs, asking, does this actually make sense or not, rather than what's the syntax for this and stuff like that. So the problem is most people just skip the second part. They give prompts, hit the accept, shipped. So that's not vibe coding. That's blindly delegating to something that doesn't have consequences when it's wrong. So here's a trap. AI generated code is usually syntactically perfect. It runs, it doesn't throw errors on the first load. It looks like what you would expect. But there's a whole category of bugs that only appear under certain conditions. Edge cases, concurrency issues, security holes that doesn't show up in a happy path testing. And the AI wrote all of that confidently, fluently, and without hesitation. The danger isn't that AI writes bad code, it's that AI writes plausible code, and plausible is way more dangerous than obviously broken. All right, so I'm going to give you the actual framework I use, not theory, not what sounds good. The exact habits that let me move fast with AI without building a house of cards. 10 rules. Some of them are technical, some of them are mindset, so all of them matter. The first rule is the most important one, and it's also the most uncomfortable one. Everything the AI writes, that is, every function, every edge case it missed, every security decision it made quietly, that's yours now. When it breaks in production, nobody's going to blame the model, they're going to blame you. That mental shift changes how you review. So you stop reading AI output like it's someone else's work that you're approving. You read it like it's your own work you wrote on a bad day and you're checking it fresh. This sounds obvious until you catch yourself doing it. It's easy to skim a 200 line diff and hit accept because it roughly looks right and you're obviously in a flow state. So don't do that. AI code has a specific failure mode, that is, it'll handle the main path perfectly and silently ignore the edge cases. So you'll definitely miss it in a skim. And also, the quality of what AI gives you is almost entirely determined by how well you specified what you wanted. Vague prompt means vague output. But here's the thing, vague output still looks confident. The AI isn't going to say, I wasn't sure what you meant, so I guessed. It'll just pick up an interpretation and start building on it. So you treat your prompt like you're writing a spec for another engineer, context constraints, what done looks like, what you don't want. It takes extra 30 seconds, but it saves 30 minutes of debugging. Trust me on that. All right, here's where vibe coding starts breaking down for a lot of people. That is testing. AI can absolutely write tests, but if you ask it to write tests for the code it also wrote, you are just asking it to make itself feel better about itself. It will test the happy path it implemented. The discipline is before you ask AI to write something, define what you would need to see to believe it works. And what are the edge cases? What should it reject? You write the entire list, then you let AI help you implement it. All right, this one is underrated. Long AI sessions have a failure mode most people don't notice, and that is context drift. As your conversation gets longer, earlier constraints and decisions get pushed down, and the AI starts making choices that contradict what you agreed on at the beginning of the session. My rule is for any significant features, start a new session, paste in the relevant context fresh. It feels inefficient, but it's the difference between a coherent system and a patchwork. Security is the area that I'm most careful about with AI generated code. AI doesn't know your threat model, it doesn't know who is attacking you, what data you're storing, what regulations you're under. So it only knows how to write code that achieves a goal. And it'll achieve that goal in ways that are perfectly reasonable in isolation and potentially catastrophic in your context. Input validation, SQL injection, auth logic, environment variables. I review these manually every single time, no exceptions. And this is the one area where I don't trust the vibe. Okay, so this one I call it as the senior engineer test. Before I merge anything AI wrote, I ask myself, could I explain every decision in the code to a senior engineer without saying AI did it? So if the answer is no, I go back and understand it first. Sometimes that means asking the AI to explain its own choices. Sometimes it means refactoring until I own the logic mentally. So this is the rule that prevents you from, building systems that you can't maintain. Shipping code you don't understand is borrowing from your future self with no plan to repair it. So be careful. The final three rules. Rule number 8. Refactor after it works. AI writes code to satisfy the prompt, not to stay readable 6 months later. Once the feature works, slow down, clean it up, simplify the structure, rename things properly, and make sure the next person touching it, especially the future you, doesn't hate you for it. Rule number 9. Use AI for exploration, not decisions. Ask it to show you three approaches to a problem. Then you pick one and own that choice. Never let the model decide your architecture. Rule 10. And this is the one that separates good engineers from great ones. Your taste is a product. AI doesn't have a taste, it only has patterns. The thing that makes your work worth something is your judgment about what belongs in the code base and what doesn't. So protect it at all costs. When you combine the speed of AI tools with this kind of review discipline, something interesting happens. You start moving faster than engineers who don't use AI, but you produce more reliable work than engineers who use AI blindly. And that's the actual unlock. It's not AI that makes you better, it's AI plus the habits that make sure AI doesn't quietly make you worse. Most people are going to pick speed and skip the discipline, and that's good for you because you now have a genuine edge. Look, here's the thing I actually worry about. For experienced engineers, these rules are a calibration, but for junior developers, there is a real risk. If your first year of professional coding is mostly accepting AI output, you never build that intuition for why things break, how systems fail at scale, and what makes code readable. That intuition doesn't come from shipping features, it comes from debugging them. AI can make you look like a senior engineer before you have the judgment of one, and that gap will show up at the worst possible time, and you wouldn't want that, trust me. So that's it, 10 rules, one idea. Use the tools and own the output. AI is generally the most powerful thing to happen to software development in my lifetime. But you know what they say with, with great power and great responsibility. I know. But it is actually true here. The engineers who figure out how to move fast without losing their standards, they're going to be extremely valuable for a very long time, trust me. If this video helped you, please subscribe to the channel. And by the way, I'm planning to make a video on how I actually structure my prompts for complex features. So please let me know if you feel that would be useful to you. And if you got your own rules for vibe coding, drop them down in the comment section. I read everything. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.